Welcome to the A Game. I'm Allie Powell.
And I'm Abigail Watkins. We have a great episode for you this week where we will take a look at how the football team played against Campbell, how women's soccer performed, and we will give you an update on women's volleyball.
Last week, App State identified an active case on the volleyball team. After contract tracing, it was identified that other members on the team would also need to quarantine. This led to their season opener against Georgia Southern to be postponed due to not having enough players to play. The team will potentially start their season against Coastal Carolina tonight and tomorrow.
The Mountaineers finished their non-conference game series last Saturday by beating Campbell. The Mountaineers got off to a slow start in the first quarter, with Campbell opening up the scoring on a 14-play drive to take an early lead. The Mountaineers answered 4 minutes later with a 17-yard touchdown run by Dietrich Harrington.
Malik Williams scored the first touchdown of the second quarter for the Camels with a 10-yard run into the end zone. App State then marched down the field with a 16-play drive that ended in a 32-yard field goal. The Mountaineer defense then forced the Camels to punt the ball with just over a minute to go in the first half. Zach Thomas led the Mountaineer offense down the field to allow Dietrich Harrington to rush in for a 2-yard touchdown to put the Mountaineers up 17-13 at the end of the first half.
Dietrich Harrington ran for a 40-yard touchdown to open up the scoring for the second half. Zach Thomas ran in for a 6-yard touchdown run, followed by Nate Noel, who scored his first App State touchdown with a 5-yard run into the end zone.
Dietrich Harrington scored his fourth and final touchdown in the fourth quarter with a 5-yard run. Jacob Huseman also recorded a touchdown with an 8-yard run. Campbell scored the last touchdown of the game with an 87-yard pass to Austin Height.
The offensive power of the Mountaineers was on full display, with the offense recording a season-high 52 points and 404 rushing yards. App State was shorthanded with 20 players unavailable, including Cameron Peoples and Marcus Williams Jr., but that did not stop them from running over the Camels defense. Dietrich Harrington made up for the 2 missing running backs by scoring 4 touchdowns and rushing for a career-high 211 yards. Harrington's 4 touchdowns were the most by an App State player since 2009, when Armonte Edwards had a 4 against Foreman. Nate Noel made his debut, which saw him rushing 131 yards and 1 touchdown. Backup quarterback Jacob Huseman recorded his first rushing touchdown late in the fourth quarter. There were plenty of Mountaineers getting their first touches on the ball Saturday, including freshman Anderson Castle, who rushed for 42 yards, and wide receiver Deshaun Davis, who had 6 catches for 40 yards.
The App State defense also put on a show Saturday, only allowing 8 of 20 passes to be completed. Shamar Jean Charles, who leads the nation in pass breakups, added 2 more, along with 4 tackles against Campbell. Jalen McLeod made his first start for the Mountaineers at outside linebacker. He recorded 4 tackles and 1 forced fumble. The football team is off this weekend and will start to prepare for their upcoming game against Louisiana on October 7th.
Up next, we will talk with the women's soccer coach.
My name is Sarah Strickland. I'm the head women's soccer coach at Appalachian State University.
And I'm Ashley Mary with the A Game. How has COVID impacted the team so far?
I think it's made it definitely challenging. We have a lot of different routines we have to go through, a lot of different protocols from the time they arrive, with temperature checks and obviously weekly testing, and just being a lot more aware of where you are and who you're around all the time. I think it's hard chemistry-wise because they can't really be together outside of practice, and they really can't be with other people. So, COVID's a bit more isolating. They talk about the team bubble, and we do have a team bubble, and they're not supposed to be outside the bubble. But even with the bubble, we're not really allowed to be together in big groups. So, like, for instance, if we have a team meeting or something, all the masks are on, it's less than 15 minutes. We're always restricted by time, just to make sure that if someone does test positive, that as far as contact tracing goes, we've been as careful as possible. So things like team film that normally would take a little bit longer, we have to shorten and do a little bit quicker in order to try to minimize contact tracing. And then on the field, making sure we're 6 feet apart if we're waiting in a line or something like that. Those are things that might slow down the speed of play a little bit, but they're helpful as far as big picture.
What has been your biggest obstacle as a team so far this year?
I think it's just, our team's so cohesive, and I think it's been hard because we're not able to do a lot together. Normally we'll do a lot more team meals. We'll do a lot more activities. The girls are usually at my house more, and it's comfortable, and we can't do that because of just the, phase that we're in with North Carolina and things. So, I think it's a much more business approach than what we're used to. Just strictly being soccer and limited things, and then having limited like social interaction outside of the field. And I think that's hard when you talk about chemistry, and our team has always been known as a family. And so I think to get that family feel, you have to be around each other more. And we haven't been able to do that. So, that's been hard.
Has COVID changed anything about your coaching style? I'm sure it has.
Yeah, so I like to be very intentional with people. I like to spend time with people, get to know them. I like to have a genuine conversations. And I think because we can't be in the office, and we can't be having meetings in person in the office, and meeting them in the library to have the meetings, if that's more convenient for them, meeting them for a cup of coffee to kind of get off the field, get out of the office and have conversations, like that's definitely different. So yeah, I would say it is changing. I don't know that it's necessarily bad, because when I have needed to have those meetings in coffee shops, I've found a way to do it. But it's definitely an extra hoop to jump through that we're having to manage and figure out.
Yeah. Will fans be allowed at home games this year? And like, I know some teams are doing like just family and all that. I didn't know like what your plan is.
Yeah, so right now ours has been strictly family. I'm hoping that with the new thing that's coming out for October, that's like 7% capacity. I'm hoping we can expand that, but I haven't been told yet if that's what we're doing or how it's going to work. So we have a little bit of time before our next home game to figure that out. But I'm hoping that students, part of the experience is being able to support classmates and friends and things. So like I'm hopeful that we'll be able to have students in the stands, but we'll see. And we have that grassy hill right behind our field that's like outside the fence, that's not technically in the stands. So we've had a lot of students come and sit on the hill and watch the game, and be able to support from a little bit of a distance, but at least be able to be there.
How have you and your players been handling the changes because of COVID?
I mean, we just look at what we can control, right? And we're super grateful that we're getting to play. I mean, most teams like nationwide got their seasons moved to the spring as a hopeful be able to play. Our conference, our administration, our chancellor allowed us to at least try to go forward, and we haven't had to shut down yet. We haven't had any positive tests on our team since arrival to campus, so we've been pretty blessed to be able to keep going. We've gone slow. We've been very intentional every step of the way. A lot of the teams we're playing against didn't take the same. They're not from North Carolina, and they didn't take the same thing. So, like the ACC arrived at the end of June. We played Pitt in that opening weekend. They've been training together since June 29th. We arrived. 8 girls arrived August 5th and got to start August 8th. The next group arrived August 10th, and the group started training together on August 13th, but that wasn't the whole team. The whole team didn't start training together until August 19th. So when you look at big picture we started in pods, we started slow, we started very intentional, only with whoever they were living with, and stayed 6 feet apart. We followed all the protocols. Although it's hard and it's not what our opponents have done, it's kept us healthy and safe, and we're able to still compete. And we're having to overcome some of that as far as in matchups and things. Like Alabama was open, so Troy and South Alabama have been training together as a team since before August 5th. So are they going to be ahead of us as far as preparation? Probably, but big picture, our goal is to follow the rules, follow the protocols, and be competing in November for a conference championship, and be getting better and better, and growing. So, that's where we're at. And like I said, we're grateful. Like, yeah, it's not what others have, but we're grateful for the opportunity we've been given, and we're going to do the best we can to represent Appalachian and follow the rules and do the right things and get better every game.
Well, I appreciate you meeting with me.
You're welcome. I hope you have a good experience, and I hope it's a good year for you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Take care. You're welcome. Okay,
right,
bye-bye.
Welcome back to the A game. Women's soccer took on Troy in South Alabama last week. The team beat Troy 1-0 with a late goal by Tess Kearney. For the first time since 2014, the Mountaineers recorded 2 back-to-back shutouts. Tess Kearney's goal came with just 3 minutes left in the regulation when she crossed in the corner kick, which took a deflection off a Troy defender and into the net to put the Mountaineers up.
Unfortunately, the win streak came to an end on Sunday when South Alabama won 3-0. Both teams battled it out in the first half, with the score staying 0-0 at the end of the half. The Mountaineers were only able to get one shot on goal, which came from Holly Beaver in the 50th minute. The South Alabama offense proved to be too much for the Mountaineer defense, with 14 total shots and 9 on goal. The Mountaineers are 2-4 on the season and 2-2 in conference play. They will take on Citadel tonight and resume conference play on Sunday against Coastal Carolina. Up next, we will take a look at our Mountaineer Spotlight.
This week's Mountaineer Spotlight is Dietrich Harrington, running back for the App State football team. Harrington came to App State in 2017 and played 9 games as a true freshman. Over the course of the 2017 season, Harrington rushed for 296 yards with 2 touchdowns. In the last season game against Louisiana, he led the team in rushing yards with 118 and scored 1 touchdown. His first career touchdown for the Mountaineers came in App's 27-6 win over Georgia Southern in 2017. His first career reception also came in 2017 against UMass. In 2018, Harrington unfortunately tore his ACL in spring practice. This caused him to redshirt for this season. He was able to play in 2 games against Georgia State and in the New Orleans Bowl, where he rushed for only 19 yards. In 2019, Harrington played in 8 games after suffering a lower back injury, which caused him to miss 6 straight games. Harrington was able to finish out the season with 319 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns while averaging 6.4 yards per carry. In the Sun Belt title game against Louisiana, he led the team with 89 rushing yards and was able to score a 25-yard touchdown. So far in the 2020 season, Harrington has rushed for 301 yards with 6 touchdowns, 4 of which came against App's blowout win against Campbell last week. Make sure to keep a close eye on number 4 as he looks to help lead the Mountaineers to another Sun Belt championship this year.
Thanks for joining us on this week's episode of The A-Game. I'm Allie Powell.
And I'm Abigail Watkins. Make sure to follow us at The A-Game Sports, and we will see you next week on
The A-Game.